Ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation and Bills Mafia, welcome to the Hashtag Sports presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins post game of the postseason. Paul, when they say Super Wildcard Weekend, does that just make you cringe?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
makes me cringe a little.
yeah, a little bit. Hey, Benny, good morning, everyone.
Good
Yep.
morning.
Hey,
Yes.
our international contingent waking up to
Ah,
a Bills victory, and Lord knows the game took long enough.
oh my God. I thought I was going to retire from podcasting by the time the game was over.
That game took forever. I felt like I was watching a Yankees game. That thing took forever.
Oh God. As you guys know, we got to get through some of the particulars to start our episode. As you know, you can find all of our socials on our link tree, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as our iTunes and Spotify, which I have to start posting to very, very soon. Tonight's show
Mario's
is
audit on the administrative part of hashtag that he does on the lives. He audits himself on. That's hilarious.
all the time. Hey, if anybody holds Hashtag Sports accountable, it's us. We hold ourselves accountable as well as Hashtag Nation. So thank you so much. Tonight's show is in association with Dean Blundell and sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes. Both will be in the description of this video. Make sure you go check them out. Paul and Hashtag Nation. Buffalo Bills with a 3-point victory. Deja vu over the Miami Dolphins at home this year. Some of you guys may know this. Joe did a fantastic job, yes. Some of you may know this. Others of you might not. If you're here for the first time, Paul is a fan of the movie Replacements.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Big fan. Big fan.
Huge.
The Replacements, which coincidentally was the second movie that Keanu Reeves played a quarterback in. Anyway, Paul's a big fan of that movie. For the last 5 hours, felt like the owner in that movie when he said, I've seen monkey shit fights at the zoo that were more organized than this. What did we just witness over the past 3.5, 4 hours, Paul? Please talk to me about this.
It was tough, wasn't it? Like, here's the deal. You know, you can't give 18 points away on 3 turnovers and a half of football. Can't do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was a point, and let me just pull up because I want to make sure that I'm accurate on this, but I'm pretty sure the Bills went out and started turnover on downs, whatever, right? You're starting aggressive. I get it, right? Turnover on downs, whatever on that. You go touchdown. You then proceed to have 8 possessions, get 6 points off those 8 possessions, and allow a defensive touchdown. So across 8 consecutive possessions, you were losing that game 6-7. You can't. That's that. I mean, come on. That. No offense to Skylar Thompson, right? Like, clearly in over his head, trouble with clock management. They had to blow all their timeouts, but believe me, Miami was not the only one who had trouble with clock management tonight. I'm sure we'll get into that. But, you know, this is, talk about a Chad Pennington arm, just a cupcake of an arm, right? Underthrew everybody. And, you know, Buffalo was able to step in front of a couple. Kamir Elam is stepping up big in a reserve role, right? You needed him.
Sounds weird,
Could have
right?
had 2 picks. Yeah,
First round pick.
Yeah. Yep. Depth is important, man. You know, even if you get him in the first round, hey, that pick was worth it, right? Could have walked away with 2 interceptions, only got 1. That's okay. You know, you kept this Miami team in front of you, and a team that really has run the ball well. You kept them bottled up, right? The run game wasn't a thing for them. I think they knew that they had to keep up, and man, I'm just so glad that thing's over. Good God.
Yeah,
like, they ran for 42 yards as a team. Miami did 42 yards. Devin Singletary outrushed them on 10 carries.
I know.
Like, that's not the Miami team that you expected to play this week.
No, not at all. And I was concerned, you know, aside from the video you guys saw on hashtag, which was pretty freaking hysterical. Kudos to Paul for that, because that was absolutely phenomenal. The only thing that I was worried about for today was the fact is if the Buffalo Bills walked into this game like it was going to be a walkthrough. I'm like, you can't. No, they're still an NFL team. There's a phrase, any given Sunday, for a reason. You can't do that. 189 passing yards, 231 total yards you held a team to, and they dropped 31 points on you.
Yeah.
Well, not their offense technically. Technically, their offense dropped 24, but you put their offense. I mean, nobody cares that Tom Brady only had 200 yards passing in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs because he was given a short field the whole time. Nobody cared about that.
God, can we just bury this, please, for the love of
No.
God?
I'm just trying to say that the yardage isn't important. The points are. Okay, so that's what happens. But you feel that if you're looking at the stats, a guy that went 18 of 45, touchdown and 2 picks, the team got blown out, and they should have. They should have been. By the time the Bills went up 17-0, I was like, this game should be 28-0 at this point. What the hell's going on?
Right.
The Buffalo Bills are playing with very dangerous fire. You cannot continue to play like dog water and just eke out games like this. Yeah. Although I like going into the playoffs, I love the fact that they had so many close games and they had to make really tough decisions in tight games and stuff like that. Because you blow out every team.
Sure.
Paul, what year was it? Maybe you can help me. I think you know this. Dante Hall. Remember Dante Hall on the Chiefs? When he had like 6 or 7 returns. Maybe the hashtag Nation can help me out on this one. When they went into the playoffs, you knew that's not sustainable. A guy that returns punts for all those touchdowns and kickoff returns for all those touchdowns, those are like hidden points. That's not sustainable. So the Buffalo Bills really grind, but Bills weren't like that this year. They were grinding out points. They were grinding out certain things. So I like that they have that mentality and that thing, but there's sometimes they just come out and they're like, offense is like, we don't really want the ball for this possession. So can we just 3 and out? Can we do something else? Can we throw a pick?
What got me a little bit more kind of a little worried going into halftime? I mean, aside from the score, right? Because everybody has been saying Buffalo is great at making adjustments this year. And defensively, I agree with that, right? Yeah. Defensively, the Bills are a very different team in the second half versus the first half, just on turnovers alone. So I was betting Buffalo was going to get a little bit they're going to start playing with a little bit more reckless abandon to try and generate turnovers because they needed to, right? They were losing in that category. They had to generate turnovers. But on the season, Buffalo had only picked off 4 passes in the first half of games this season.
Really?
In the second half, 13. Totally different, right? Nowhere close. Huge. So that's why when we walked into the second half, I was like, listen, Buffalo's going to take some chances and try and generate some turnovers. Right? Because in the second half of games, that's where those adjustments have been made. They've been very, very good at that and generating turnovers in the second half. And you would think that by talking about Buffalo being a second half team, that, you know, that would include the offense, but it doesn't. Actually, Bills have 24 passing touchdowns in the first half, 11 in the second half.
Yeah, they got out hot. I mean, they come out hot. Right. We talked about it. Wasn't there a span of like 4 or 5 weeks after the Chiefs game where they didn't score a touchdown in the third or fourth quarter?
And it's one of those things, Mario, right, where you could talk about Buffalo being a second half adjustment team, you know, and mind you, maybe Buffalo is just out in front enough where, you know, they can kind of sit back a little bit, but they weren't scoring rushing touchdowns at any great clip either. They only had 3 more rushing touchdowns in the second half as the first half. The reason Buffalo walked away with the record that they did was all those possessions they gained. Right?
Yeah.
Like the net positive in possession. So turnovers matter, right? And that's why when you see a Josh Allen strip sack, you know, like those are things that you can't always control, but 2 fumbles today for Josh, man. That can't do that against the Bengals. Cannot give that. You cannot give that level team.
You cannot give extra possession. I mean, that's the same thing with the Buffalo Bills. People always say you can't give them extra possessions. And you know, you got the drive charts out, Paul. You got the 3 and outs for Miami because you know my take on that. I mean, Buffalo Bills were gifted extra possessions as well with the 3 and outs, but
I got
this is how many 3 and outs a day?
So let's see here. 1,
not counting,
not as many as you think, right?
That's what I'm saying. I think
2, 3, 4 in the second half of game. In the second half, they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had 5 drives that ended in 3 plays.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So the biggest thing about me, I mean, Mike Trotter comes and says Allen has regressed, too turnover prone this year and needs to learn to check it down and keep the chains moving. I understand that for one standpoint. The other standpoint is this: when the Buffalo Bills are doing really, really well, they're playing complementary football. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that their defense is a defense that has to make you one-dimensional. But the problem is that one dimension is passing. And when your one starting safety is hurt, playing very, very well though, and your other safety was lost week 2, that doesn't bode well. And Trey's still not at 100%. He looked really well today, but he's not at 100%. Elam came in a backup role.
Tony B with the comment of the night. I'm watching McDaniels at the podium. He just got his play in. How terrible was Miami at managing the clock?
I was so annoyed with that, Paul.
Dude, they had time and they're rushing to the line, like to get to a 4th and short, like, you know, to run on, what was it, third and 2, and they're rushing to the line to get to what was gonna be a 4th and short. Like,
they ran 70 plays today, so don't tell me that. Oh yeah, he's a rookie. Shut up! Don't give me that. Don't give me all that. So, I mean, you got to get the play in, and the quarterback's going to have to try to decipher what you want as far as the checks and everything go. I'm just tired of the fact that it seems to me every single time that there's a delay of game, it hits 0, and then there's like 1,000, 2 1,000, and then they blow the whistle prior to the snap. Timeout.
Well,
I'm so annoyed by
that cost. I thought that was going to cost the Bills today, right?
Oh, that would have been
4th down. You know, in Miami territory, they throw just a Hail Mary for no reason, right?
None.
On a 4th and 6, McDermott gets the timeout. Trey breaks the pass up, right? Play goes off anyway. That would have been, you get the ball in Miami territory. And now instead, they punt it, you get it at the 10, right? And that's a drive that went nowhere. So I thought that's where the game was gonna change, right? When McDermott called that timeout, because given where you were, you walked away with 1 timeout. The McDermott timeouts in the second half, I didn't get. I don't know what he saw. I would love to know. I didn't catch the presser. I don't even think he's been to the podium yet. So I don't know what he saw in that 4th and 6, but oh God, I want to know. I want to know.
That's what I tweeted out. You saw what I tweeted out, Paul. I wanted it to be 4th down because I wanted McDermott to see what he was going to do.
Oh, 4th and short.
Yeah, the 4th and short. But I wanted to, before I get to McDermott, though, I wanted to actually put this up again for Tony B. Guys, I forgot to mention the hashtag sports sponsor for the 2022-2023 season is the Williams Syndrome Foundation. All super chats will be going to the Williams Syndrome Foundation. So Tony B, thank you, and Williams Syndrome thanks you for your donation very much. Your super chat. The McDermott had, and we've said this many times on this show, Milano was confused and out of place. I know, Paul, come on.
I just want to hear it from him, man. I just want to hear it from him.
No, I want you to explain to me, because you used 4 very unique letters as far as McDermott goes with that timeout. Why did McDermott call that timeout? Because number 10 was on the field.
Yeah, right. You know, like here's what gets me. Like, I look at that scenario, even if Milano is confused, and mind you, that play is the game there, right? That plays the game. Your defense is just that much better than that offense. You know, like,
yeah,
your defense is just that much better. That offense could not move the football very well today. They had a couple good drives, end of list, right? And honestly, near the end of the game, they ran 5 wide, Tyreek in the slot. Tyreek went uncovered. Play that ended the game. Tyreek was uncovered. Like,
should have.
Tremaine didn't even move. Tyreek breaks a slant. Tremaine never even moved. All Thompson had to do was just loft that ball 15 yards in the air, and Tyreek was gone for 30 at least, and just never got there.
I think he
Do you think he scores? They did have 2 safeties deep, so they still had. They had.
He did in Kansas City too.
Oh God, stop it with that.
Well, Are you denying the fact that in Kansas City he took a 10-yard slant and just went?
I
"See ya,
know. I know.
I'm out."
I
Helped
know.
us out by dropping everything. Yeah, I mean the drops that the Buffalo Bills had too were kind of atrocious. I mean, I
Mhm.
was very upset about. I mean, Shakir, he hasn't played a lot. What do you expect? Guy's probably
Right.
got some nerves, but he calmed down enough for that second catch. Dawson Knox, what else is new? Like it's
That touchdown, that first touchdown catch was unbelievable. Talk about no space to make that catch.
you talking about the one he dropped or the one he caught?
No.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. He makes those amazing one-handers, and
yeah.
you know what? Is when it's in his breadbasket. Here's the thing now. There's certain times, Paul, and it's the postseason, but we're still going to talk about it anyway. There are certain times that you have to be situational awareness when you're on the field.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a quarterback and Paul, let's switch it around. Sorry. If I'm a wide receiver or a tight end and I'm going across the middle and Paul's throwing me the ball, I have to realize there's some times where I can't just reach my hands out directly in front of me and catch this ball.
Right.
There are times you have to do that. But if I am in traffic, I have to let that get into my body and then cup it so it doesn't get knocked out. That flag route that Dawson Knox had, if he doesn't try to catch it with his hands and he goes up like this and cradles it, Howard doesn't knock it away from him.
Nope.
No, he doesn't. And the Gabe Davis, what is this, Paul? Can you explain this to me? He's your boy. Remember a long time ago when they drafted in the 2020 draft, I'm kicking it back old school. 2020 draft, Paul and I, we took sides. Okay. I had Isaiah Hodges. He had Gabriel Davis. He won. He's still here. But what is this? What is
Isaiah
this?
Hodges catching touchdown passes for the Giants? He got one already. Hodges is on fire. And you know, and not to dig up, dig up dead bodies here, but people can get mad about Isaiah Hodges getting signed by the Giants. Everybody knew that Isaiah Hodges would be a target for a wide receiver needy team where Brian Dable went. They lost everybody in the Giants. So it was really just a matter of time before Hodges ended up there. But the fact is everybody gets mad that he was on waivers. But the truth is, unless he was getting signed to the active roster, he was going to be on the practice squad and could have signed with the Giants anyway. So whether he made it through waivers or was on a practice squad was irrelevant. He was going to the Giants because Buffalo wasn't keeping him on the 53. The fact that they thought they could sneak him through was a huge miscalculation. But he was, whether he'd gone through waivers or was on the practice squad, it would have been just a matter of a week or two at that point where he would have been a Giant regardless. Buffalo would have had to have rostered him. And if you roster him, you probably don't get John Brown back. You probably don't get Cole Beasley back. You know, your roster looks very different here.
Now, there was some chess that had to happen throughout the year that having Isaiah Hodges on the roster probably would have been a little difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're probably stunning the growth of Shakir as well. I don't know what their long-term plans are, but having a cheaper wide receiver than a non-cheaper wide receiver is also always good. And I want you guys to pay attention to what Paul just said. Hashtag Nation Bills Mafia. Because everyone says, why'd they cut Hodges? He was not cut or released. He had less than 4 years of experience in the NFL. He was waived. Any team could have picked him up, like he said. And the Giants were going to pick him up. And to extend it a little bit more for you guys, word is on the street that he was in the office to sign back onto the practice squad when the Giants called him.
Sure was.
So please don't. The guy is an NFL player. He's in New York City. He's catching touchdowns. Good. I am so happy for Hodges. I am not. But this is what happens when you have a GM that acquires so much really good talent. Guys are going to leave, guys.
I love that Mike Trotter is trying to phonetically correct you on how to pronounce Isaiah Hodgins' name.
Is it Hodgins?
DG. Yeah, DG.
Well, this
is the same guy, guys. Hashtag Nation. I love you all. This is the same guy that pronounced it Jaguars.
Oh, okay? You're going to get on me for Jaguars when you've been calling him Mitch Morris for 4 years?
Tomato.
I hate you so much right now.
Listen, with Mitch's concussion history, he can't pronounce his own last name. Let's just move on, okay?
With my concussion history, you're saying?
No. Hey,
is the yak
Cole
machine.
Beasley.
Cole
Beasley today. This is, Shakir comes up with a huge catch, right? I want to talk about that Shakir catch and the Shakir drop. I think those were two major points in the game. But
Mhm.
Cole Beasley comes back 5 targets, 2 receptions, and a touchdown. Does Cole Beasley, does he add enough of a wrinkle into your offense to make his presence felt on the field, or do you think this is just sort of he just kind of got lucky today?
No, I don't think he got lucky. I think that he needed a couple more weeks to get back into game shape. And, because the guy's just been sitting on his couch. Like he was retired. So I think he just needed a couple more weeks to get acclimated to the offense, what the new calls were that Dorsey wanted to implement here and there. I think that while Isaiah McKenzie, there's a name we haven't heard all day, offers a different element to your passing game as far as big playability, I will trade 2 or 3 first downs for a huge play, especially when you have Diggs and Davis.
I think that yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand. I understand
because I know how
that.
tough first downs are going to come by, and you can't just run 17 on a sweep, pulling a guard and a tackle, just to try to get a first down for 4 yards. Beasley gives you that. I think he's going to make 2 or 3 really tough first downs that you're going to need in the divisional, and if you make it to the championship, the AFC championship game, that are going to be so pivotal that if you want to come back and bookmark this, guys, I just think that he's just too savvy a wide receiver in the slot to not be an option for Allen when Diggs is covered. I'm just saying.
So do you think we've seen the last of Isaiah McKenzie inactive today, right?
No.
Do you think we've kind of seen the last of Isaiah McKenzie?
No, because we've seen this team do stupid stuff all the time. I mean, would you want? Well, here's the thing.
So let me make sure I understand the direction you're going with this. You're saying that having Isaiah McKenzie inactive is stupid.
No, I'm saying activating him would be stupid.
Oh, okay. All right. Continue.
So therefore, they're going to do it. They're going to activate him at some point. They're going to activate because they're going to be like, listen, Shakir. I really think they went into this game. Why would you start Shakir and not McKenzie? Why? What's your reasoning? Give me your reasoning. Why did you decide to go with Shakir? And don't give me injuries. Everyone's hurt at this point in the season.
Yeah,
okay? I'm hurt at this point in the season, mentally and physically. So don't give me this nonsense that. Oh man, no, but I'm seriously, I'm sitting there. I'm going. I need a logical reason other than injury of why. If he was seriously injured, I understand that. That's fine. But to start Shakir, who he's been in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, listen, one big catch from Shakir and one big drop. The drop that's one you got to have. Right.
I thought everyone in the stadium thought he had it.
Yeah. I mean, great. Listen, that's why the review system is there. And I'll never be mad when they get the call right. Regardless of the circumstances, I'll never be mad when they get the call right. But there's also times where you depend on the review, like you depend on the process, and they say, no, like the Diggs touchdown that wasn't. Diggs clearly knew it wasn't a touchdown. McDermott wasn't on that same page, right? And McDermott's screaming for a review there because they lost the clock.
Then burns a timeout.
Ends up burning a timeout, and there you end up kicking a field goal, right? Where I don't think the intent was to kick a field goal there. I think they looked at it with a field goal, or had they still had the timeout, they would have gone for one more shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they had to burn the timeout because of the review process. I think they depended on the review process to be there and give them some time, and that was mismanagement. Another example of Sean McDermott kind of mismanaging the clock today. I think they depended on that being reviewed, or under the expectation it was going to get reviewed. It wasn't. It was a bang bang play, but if you saw the back angle, it was clearly not a touchdown. Why would you waste your time reviewing it? Right? It was clearly not a touchdown. Diggs didn't have control when he had another foot down. Like, it was control one step out. But yeah, it was you lost points there. And going into halftime, those points, you needed those points. You had to have them, and you burned time out there. You're just kicking points away. Take a field goal there instead of take another shot. But I mean, the way the game was going, maybe that's a turnover. if they go for it again. Like
Mhm.
it's tough to judge. This game was weird.
What upsets me about it is that about the management we talk about it. It was a 39-yard field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Baskin hit 44.
Sure.
Save your freaking timeout, dude. Take a delay of game.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a delay of game, they could still have time to look at it. They mentioned that later in the broadcast. If there's a delay of game, you could still challenge a play from the previous play because no play was run.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see if that was going to put him out of field goal range. That's why you call the timeout, because you don't want the delay of game.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, save your timeouts.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
It was 2nd and 10. Let it go 2nd and 15. You got 7 seconds. Put one up. See what happens. It's like, okay, or if they want to review it, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, there was a lot of things today that didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. I think it's, Miami had big injury problems across their offensive line. Clearly, Teddy Bridgewater and Tua Tagovailoa out. Skylar Thompson was, in my opinion, somebody you could have confused, right? You could have run some looks today in coverage and really confused him. And they should have abused him, and they should have abused that offensive line. And while the Bills were able to get pressure, there was times where they should have been able to pressure. Their pressure should have been effective more often, I guess is the best way for me to phrase that. Now, of course, I'm saying that, and the Bills still walked away with, 4 sacks, I think, right? They sacked Miami 4 times. Opposite side of that, Josh Allen got sacked 7 times for 36 yards and loss, whereas Buffalo sacked Skylar Thompson 4 times for 31 yards. I expected Buffalo to have more impact across the defensive line today. What do you think that's a problem, right? Because this was admittedly a weak Miami offensive line. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think there's signs of a big issue up front? Is it because you don't have Jordan Phillips? Does he make that much of a difference? Like, what's going on across that defensive line?
About the coverages and as far as trying to confuse Skylar Thompson. I don't think they were trying to confuse Skylar Thompson today.
No, it didn't look like that at all.
I think they were trying to be as vanilla as possible for whoever else comes into Buffalo next week. Mm-hmm. I don't think they didn't concern themselves with having to stop Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins today, and that was pretty evident in their play. They weren't. They were, okay, Jordan, you rest up, get another week under your belt, because we're going to unleash you on Cincinnati or Jacksonville next week. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to play this. And we're not going to, as Joe Mixon stated, or what was it, Tyler Boyd? Sorry. Was it Tyler Boyd that said they don't do anything, like, they don't do anything special on the defensive end and the back end?
Yeah.
So,
they don't. But in fairness, what he meant was they don't really try to disguise coverages. That's really what he meant.
No, I think what and the difference of it, that's why you got to read all the articles and see what the quotes were. I think he said, listen, they just line up and play you. They're in a too high shell. They line up and play you. And if you can beat them, you can beat them.
Right.
The thing is, that is the scariest team to me, is the fact that if you can line up in basic defensive packages and not do anything like scary or crazy, like Rex Ryan's defense was. Those defenses were all over the field doing crazy stuff to try to confuse you. Sure. If you just line up and play and you're still beating somebody, that's deflating for an offense. And that will wear off on the entire offense. Did you see like Waddle's body language today, Hill's body language today? What do we do? They're not doing anything special and they're still stopping us. But there was one trend that did continue today, Paul, and it's a trend that bothers me to no end. Buffalo Bills will get a sack on first down. Sweet. 2nd and 18. They'll get a running play for 3 yards. Third and 15. Why in God's name is it so freaking difficult to stop a team on 3rd and 10 or more for this Buffalo Bills defense?
I don't know, because here's the thing, right? The Bills stopped Miami on 12 of 16 third down attempts. Great number, right? Huge efficiency. Great job, right? The Bills were 9 of 16 on third downs. So that's very good execution. Miami was 4 of 16 on third downs. But I could tell you every single one of those. And
Every single one of those 4. Yep.
Yeah, I could tell you every single one of those 4, right? Because that's how impactful they were in the game. And they were situations where I looked at it and said, oh, yeah, we'll wrap this up, no problem. And then it's, a long pass to Gesicki. It's like, what the hell? Come on. Like, what the hell's going on there?
I guarantee you, of the 4 of 16, 4 of 5 were third and long.
Oh, yeah.
4 of 5 were like third and long. I swear to God, none of those were third and short. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Matthias! My man.
Oh, hey, what's up, Matthias? Worst clock management ever. It felt both coaches wanted to top each other with dumb timeout decisions. Oh, and come playoff times, it's double up time again. Hey, there we go, Matthias. Doubling up his donation for the Williams Syndrome Foundation. Thank you again, Matthias. We love and appreciate you joining us in whatever the hell time it is in your country.
Yeah, I think he's 6 hours. I want to say 6, conservatively.
Imagine looking forward to seeing that hat. Imagine that.
Hey, was it midnight there? Yeah.
So
who doesn't look forward to this hat? Be honest with you. I mean,
the hat brings good things. It's a victory hat.
It's been on the shelf for 3 weeks.
So, kind of looking across, right? If you look at this Bills defense, the secondary, right? Dane goes down, Elam comes in, plays more snaps. How do you feel? How do you feel the secondary held up? And how do you feel about your boy Dean Marlowe playing?
I am shocked that I didn't get a phone call when he picked that pass off. I was shocked you didn't call me.
No, because here's why, right? Because I know that you're on a little bit of a delay from me, so I never know how to time those things. I know you're always like on a minute or 2 delay from me.
You know you could date me so easily. You could just like text me, "Oh shit." That's it. I'm like, what happened? What happened? I wanted to post this comment real quick. Jordan Sinikowski. I'm watching you guys on my phone and watching Buffalo Fanatics on my Xbox. Get the best of both worlds. You got them backwards, Jordan. We're supposed to be on the Xbox. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Dean Marlowe playing very, very well. I think much like a Beasley situation, I think he had to get used to maybe there was some new verbiage put into the defense here and there, and he had to get used to that. And once he got used to it, he's been back there playing with Jordan Poyer before. You know what I mean? He's been in that rotation before. Mm-hmm. So I think it was pretty amazing. Also the fact that wasn't Hamlin 31 before he switched it before this year?
Can't say I know that one.
I think Hamlin was 31 prior to switching it to 3 for this year, and then Marlowe takes 31 and gets the pick today. I thought it was pretty amazing. Like,
yeah, Marlowe
didn't blow all the other stuff. I think that was pretty amazing.
Banging and clanging there, right, with Dean Marlowe. And I think one of the things that's important to pay attention to is, when you have a player like Dean Marlowe who's familiar, he's just come back to Buffalo, right? Remember, he didn't start the season on the Bills. He was with Detroit to start the season. But
he was in Atlanta, wasn't he?
Oh, Atlanta. Yeah, he was in Detroit. I thought he was in Detroit.
Yeah.
In any case, you take a look at Jordan Poyer's numbers. Only 3 tackles today, right?
Good.
While what's fascinating is Dean Marlowe had 4. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of used to seeing Jordan Poyer in that 7, 8, 9 category. Poyer walks away with 3 tackles. Is that because he's playing maybe a little bit more of that hide role, right? And letting Marlowe kind of banging and clanging? Because let's be honest, you can't lose Jordan Poyer at this point in the season.
Hell no.
You can't lose him, right?
No.
So if you're going to throw somebody into the fire, you're like, Cam Lewis here? All right, Cam's here. Dean, just go murder that guy. If you get hurt, you get hurt. We got more. We got poor Cam Lewis over here who's been playing safety for 4.5 weeks. He'll just do what I tell him to do. Like, do you think Poyer's lack of tackles today is because they're asking him to be more Micah Hyde in the playoffs? And did you see that today?
I don't know what Micah Hyde's role is going to be when he comes back on this team. I think is going to be very, very uplifting for a lot of players. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's been 17 weeks, dude.
Yeah.
Is his legs underneath him? I know he's been practicing. I know all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Here's what happened. Initially, when both guys went out, you and I, for many, many years, because there was never significant time that Hyde and Poyer were out.
Mhm.
Hyde was the center field. Like, you could say that they play the same position because they both come up and make tackles. I understand that.
Mhm.
They both play center field sometimes. I understand that. But majority of the time, Hyde is playing center field and Poyer was the torpedo. For 4
Mhm.
years, that's how we had it. And
Yep.
it was beautiful to watch. And then it got taken away from us. And then
Mhm.
Poyer actually had to change a little bit of his game because we didn't know if he could play center field. Everyone was like, you got to pay Poyer. I'm like, he's not going to be a 100 tackle guy for the next 4 years.
Mhm.
I'm sorry
Right.
to say that, guys. He's not going to be that guy. That's why the Bills haven't paid him yet. Plus, they have that predator in the middle
Mhm.
that is really just, he's playing lights out right now. So, okay, fast forward to now. Now, when Hamlin was there, Hamlin was the hammer. He was the
Mhm.
guy flying up, and Poyer was playing center field. It looked great. Basically said, Jaquan Johnson, we tried, but no thanks, but no thanks. He's going to be gone at the end of the season. We all know
Right.
that. So then you go and you acquire Dean Marlowe because of the poor performance of Jaquan Johnson. And Marlowe has played both. He has been a center fielder because whenever Hyde or Poyer got hurt, he was the guy that came in first. If Hyde
Mhm.
got hurt, he was playing center field, let Poyer
Right.
hunt. And you know what? If it was the other way around, he was playing center field. So he has familiarity with the defense and can play both roles.
Mhm.
And with the fact that Poyer is kind of beat up, because I think normally what it would be is they would let Marlowe play center field, let Poyer hunt again. But because Poyer's banged up, they switched it. And maybe that's what the delay was in getting Marlowe on the field because he's so used to being the torpedo
Mhm.
or being the center fielder that he had to be the torpedo now. And I
Mhm.
don't think he minds it. He's got a job in the playoffs. He was on Atlanta. I think he likes it better here. So I'm very confident with Marlowe back there, and I'm even more confident with Ka'ir Elam showing up today, even in a quote unquote backup role with, you know what, Paul, we can't have all nice things. You know, we all can't have nice things. If Marlowe plays well today and he shines, and then your boy gets dinged up and he's out of the game, Dane Jackson. Talk to me about Dane Jackson today. How secure is his job now moving forward?
You listen, you've been waiting for Keir Elam to show up, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it's processing, right? And sometimes it's studying. Keir Elam had to play a big role today because unfortunately that second cornerback spot has just been interchangeable all season, right? It's been a different guy every 3 weeks. You have a different corner playing in the system. You had Xavier Rhodes, you had Christian Benford, you had Keir Elam for a little bit, then you had Dane Jackson, and you're just kind of making it up as you go. But if they could start depending on a first round player to actually contribute, then awesome. Right? Awesome. You need it. But, on the opposite side of that, when you take a look at, to transition to talk about the offense a little bit more, this Miami secondary is not phenomenal, right? Like I take Buffalo secondary, even with that interchangeable, CB2 all season, all day long, right? Like I know Trey is working his way back. He admits that he's still going through the rehab process, but Miami does some things to frustrate a quarterback like Josh Allen, right? They run a ton of cover zero, which means that they just beg you to throw the ball deep. They say, come on, throw the ball deep. And in the first half, what were you getting? You were getting Josh Allen home run football. And, and it takes it, what it was doing was it was taking possessions away from Buffalo because they were willing to bet that Allen wasn't going to hit 25% of those passes over 25 yards. They were willing to bet on it. And he kept taking the bait in the first half, even to a point in the second half. He was still taking the bait. And if you're Buffalo, you can't let that happen next week, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not really worried about Jacksonville, but Cincinnati has some damn good safeties, and I'm not. I'm concerned about this because Miami dictated what Buffalo was going to do on offense, or some of the decisions Josh was going to make because they said, "Listen, throw it deep. We will let it go. We will give you a chance. We believe that you won't hit him, right? And that's how. And Josh walked away getting sacked 7 times today.
Thus, effectively getting the ball out of his hands and
Mhm.
into Miami's hands to try to wear out the defense.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
They
exactly
didn't run the
right.
ball enough to do it because they couldn't run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They literally could not effectively run the ball on the Buffalo Bills. Like, I understand what the game plan was.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play cover 0 on defense, like you said. Let them throw it deep. What it's going to do is if it's incomplete, it'll stop the clock. It'll give us the ball back. We can grind that defense down. After 3 quarters of wearing that defense down, they're going to be open and susceptible to plays.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek will eat them up. Jalen will eat them up. Just didn't work out that way for him.
Right.
And the way that the game played out, nobody looking at the box score would suspect that this was a 3-point game at all.
Right.
Not one person. It is ridiculous what manifested today because of turnovers and clock management. You see why we harp on this, guys? Hashtag Nation Bills Mafia. You see why we harp on the fact that clock management and your timeouts and, situational football and all this other nonsense that we talk about that you guys are like, come on, guys, you beat a little bit too hard on the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. Because I'm tired of talking about other teams in the beginning of February. That's why.
Yeah.
500 yards to 200 yards. That's amazing. Strangely similar to the week 3 game. It was. It was very similar. Once again, Josh Allen goes over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns against Miami. I mean, poor guy. Can't catch a break, can he? Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, Buffalo didn't do him a ton of favors, but Miami wasn't doing Skylar Thompson any favors either. Like they lost Waddle early. Waddle was clearly hurt. Clearly.
He was banged up the entire game, which begs the question. Our boy, well, not our boy, but everyone else's boy, Nicky Smokes tweeted out, I think at some point during the game, he said, if Tua was here, we'd be up 10.
Oh, God. Here we go. So on my personal profile on Twitter, on my handle, I had been saving. I had found on Facebook Marketplace someone was selling something called the world's smallest violin. So I saved the link to it so that way I could tweet it out after the game, be like, okay, Miami fans, here you go. And then of course the game ends in what I can really call a controversial fashion, right? Can we talk?
I think it was a first down.
It was the call on the field, right?
I know. Yep.
Conclusive evidence on that? No way, right? You're never going to get conclusive evidence on that. They called on the field. I thought he was short, but I'm not on the field. Can't tell you. But, that's what we're going to hear is Miami only lost to Buffalo because of the end of the game. And I agree. I would have loved to have seen what Josh Allen or, what Sean McDermott and Josh Allen would have done on a 4th and inches there, right? Super, 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 super curious.
I mean, you got Josh Allen, who, if I hear one more announcer say he's 237, I'm going to slap him. That guy is at least 250 at this point.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
We'll talk about it. Does Crowder come back to make a difference? I don't know at this point. I just think it's. Paul, what do you think? Is it too far gone now? Is it
with Crowder?
Has he not had enough meaningful reps in practice or in a game to make a huge difference? Because I foresee him if he goes in a game and then like he makes a read and Allen makes a read and it's not the same read and then pick. It's just too messy. That happening.
Yeah, with the role you're asking him to play, it's just too messy in there, right? There's a lot of bodies in a small space with what you're going to ask Jamison Crowder to do. I think Jamison Crowder becomes impactful if you lose Beasley.
Oh, 100%.
Right. But I think he's hedging I can't believe I'm saying this now because, come week 1, I never would have believed it. But Jamison Crowder is just handcuffing a Cole Beasley injury, not a Shakir injury, specifically a Cole Beasley injury, that veteran presence, because the chemistry is just not going to be there. So I wouldn't expect to see him at all.
I expect to see him at all. Yeah, and it's coming up in the chat once again. Paul, the Buffalo Bills have not played very well over the past 8 games, and they're 8-0.
Right.
What does that mean? Are they poised to have a good game? Are they just Do they just know that they're so relaxed in their abilities, just either on offense or defense, to make a play when they need to be like, I mean, this team was down 24-20 and just rattle off 14 like it was nothing.
Well, no. Remember, they were winning at halftime, right? That changed quick. Like I would love to tell you this team is calm, cool, and collected. And Miami never really was in control of this game, right? Regardless of what the score was, Miami had some good fortune that kept them in the game. I think that's important to call out. Miami was never really in control of this game. With that being said, I don't look back at like other successful Bills teams and say, man, they're really lucky the last, that they caught the stretch that they did when they did. They won. They did enough to win. And the truth is, I think they did enough to win without giving other teams too much information on what they would like to do in the future. And that's another thing, right? As you start developing game plans for future opponents, like you don't know who you're going to play right now, but you don't want to start giving away stuff that's going to give you an advantage in a future game unless absolutely necessary. Miami broke the glass and said, listen, we're not supposed to win this game. So we're just going to give them everything we got. We're going to pull every trick out of the book that we can. And I was shocked that we didn't get to see some odd formations out of Buffalo at some point. Maybe just because the game was too close. I was kind of expecting to see something weird here sooner or later. Maybe it was just because the game was closer than it should have been.
I say you do it against whoever your divisional matchup is.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if you win, first of all, you're going to confuse your opponent that they have to make adjustments to.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, you're going to eat up time. Well, if you win that game for whoever in the conference championship you're going to face, you're going to waste their defense's time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be great.
Right.
Paul, we just talked about it a second ago. Look, Steve Hampton. One thing that bugs me, anytime a guy makes a costly mistake, coaches seem to simply bench him. Smoke today. Smoke Brown has been in this offense and involved in this offense and ran the wrong route today.
Mm-hmm.
Ended in a pick.
Yep.
What do you think Jameson Crowder coming back after all this time off would have done? Like,
yeah,
there's going to be miscommunication somewhere. Like, I like Crowder. I thought he was I still think he's an upgrade over Beasley, but Beasley knows the offense.
Yeah.
That's the tough one to do. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I want you to tell me about the non-call of unsportsmanlike conduct on Tremaine Edmonds on the sidelines, where he killed the running back, Ahmed. Was it Ahmed?
Yeah.
Was it Sylvan Ahmed?
Yeah. Tremaine. Yeah, Tremaine. The football was in the way, man. Football was in the way. Yeah, that's a very little man being tackled by a very big man moving very fast, right? And but it's plays like that where people look at Edmonds and say, God, there's just so much potential there, right? But I would expect any NFL linebacker to close like that, right? Like you're an NFL linebacker, you got to be able to close. And Tremaine puts up these highlight reel tackles sometimes. And Tremaine played very, very well. Tremaine has played very well the last 6 games. So let's just put that on the table. Tremaine has played very, very well the last 6 games. He's been dependable.
Wow.
He's been very, very good. But I thought I saw him murdered today. I thought he murdered someone today.
That man has a family.
Yeah.
Do you guys need any kind of reference of that hit that Tremaine Edmonds just put on Salvin Ahmed?
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine me hitting Paul.
Oh God, stop it. I'm probably not wrong though. We're not. I'm a little taller than Ahmed, but that's
5'11".
Yeah.
He's 5'11".
Oh, he's 5'11"? He's that tall?
He's 5'11". Well, he's got you in the weight category, but who doesn't at this point?
Yeah, that's true. I am exactly 6 feet. So that's
exactly
6 feet.
You got weak knees. It's crazy. Well, listen, Paul. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills. #Nation Buffalo Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia will be. This game brings some concern. Obviously, when do you stop saying, well, if they play like this next week, they're going to lose? And they've been doing it for 8 weeks. At what point? Because let's be honest. Right now, the logic part of me says you're not beating Jags, Bengals, or Kansas City playing like this. You're not. Just lazy. It just seems like lazy football.
Yeah.
It just seems like uninspired football. But yet I know it's not. However, these games are really like I tweeted it out after the first 2 drives. I said this game is bowling shoe ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Like good old JR. But I'm just sitting there and I'm going, at what point do we accept that this is the philosophy of the team is to look like dog water and win the game anyway?
Right.
Yeah, we can make a big play when we want to. And then, like, they play like crap. They're like sluggish, no rhythm. Boom, second half. In 3 minutes and 11 seconds, they have 14 points. Like, what just happened? Did we just see, like, no, we could turn it on when we want? That team scares me because sometimes you're not able to turn it on like that level of competition. Pierre, you might be right there, dude. You might be 100% on that.
We've seen that that's been the reputation of a Sean McDermott team for quite some time, right? Is that they always seem to match the intensity of the team that they're playing, right? And Miami gave it their all. Miami is clearly lacking in the talent division compared to Buffalo, right? Like that roster is just not as good as Buffalo's. Buffalo wins this game all the time.
Like their roster, though. Their defensive front is terrifying.
The one thing I will say is before the game, they were doing a flashback to the 2 matchups earlier this season. And the Miami game on the calendar is the one game that I want back because that game is ultimately what cost you the 1 seed, right? Losing that Miami game. You don't lose that Miami game early in the season. You have the record to still have the 1 seed. So that game is the one that to me cost you the 1 seed. Right.
Yeah, we've seen the
play
mentality.
again, whatever, like you get this game, you walked away, Dane Jackson's a little banged up, like you had to play a game. So guys are going to walk away, with some battle scars, but you didn't lose anybody that we know of like long-term. So, I mean, congratulations, but I mean, goodness gracious. And here's the thing, Mar, if we back this up, if you're the NFL, I have a vested interest. I have a show with my band in Rochester on Saturday. So I have a very vested interest on what day this game is going to be played on. But Bills and Bengals, if that were to be the game, they have to put that on Monday night, right? You got to put that game back on Monday night.
Why are there any games on Monday night? This baffles me. Why are there any games in playoff weekends on Monday nights?
I don't know.
I don't understand this.
I don't know. That's the way it is, buddy. That's the way it is.
I'm not you, Mario. Imagine Roman Reigns or young Goldberg hitting Paul. Jesus Christ. What? We're not at the roast session yet, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, they have to. They have to put it on a Sunday night. It has to be a Sunday night game. It has to be. It has to be.
I mean, you know how this goes, though. Right, the NFL is going to do whatever is best for the television ratings.
Yeah, they're going to figure out which market will get the most money. And currently, right now, the way that it's been trending for Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Bills fans, I mean, ever since that Thanksgiving Day game, it was huge. It was absolutely humongous. It might have been the previous year with the, or was it the same year that they played Houston? No, it was the year before. They played Houston. You remember that?
Yep.
In the playoffs. Yep. So the NFL probably realizes, you know what? We can put the Bills in any time slot and they're going to draw a crowd. Doesn't matter. They're going to draw viewership.
Right.
We don't need to worry about putting them in a main slot. We got to put two teams that are weaker that people really don't want to see in that major time slot. Paul, I got a question. We kind of skipped over this initially, and we're getting close to the end here. Kyrie Elam walking up to Tyreek Hill, the one pick he almost had, walking up right into his face and jamming him and running with him. That's the kind of play we need against the Bengals. Just let you know.
You gotta be physical. You gotta be physical.
Just so you guys know, where's Kyrie Elam now? Where did he get drafted from? Paul, come on.
Oh, that was a question. I thought this was rhetorical.
Where did he get drafted from?
Did he go to LSU? No. Where
No.
the hell he go? I don't remember.
Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Sorry.
He
Little
went to
north.
Florida.
Little north. I forgot he went to Florida.
Jamar Chase went to LSU. They've met.
True story. True story.
Why Paul didn't realize that is because he's a Florida State fan. He can't stand anything in Florida.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to remember when the Florida Gators were a relevant college football organization.
Here we go.
Ricardo
no, but what I'm
Breen.
saying is,
hold on. We got a super chat in
okay,
first.
Ricardo.
If you look at our 3 losses, combined 8 points, we lost by Josh Allen mistakes. He tries to do too much sometimes.
Hence hero ball.
Yeah, and again, you saw glimpses of that today, right? Like you saw glimpses of that today. And against a team like the Bengals, you can't give away possessions. Like that's just as all there is to it. You can't give away possessions. And I don't know if your defense is going to generate possessions, right? Like that's when you saw what was happening in that game on Monday night before the Damar Hamlin injury was Cincinnati was in, like they were a machine. They knew how to execute against your defense. That was clear, right? They were able to execute, and that defense was going to have trouble generating turnovers, right? And now, mind you, never got to the second half. Don't know how that would have gone. Buffalo generates a ton of turnovers in the second half with adjustments. Maybe we're looking at a different football game. We're probably going to get to see that game eventually, right? Next week. But you know, when you look at the play of Kamir Elam today, I don't know if you win this game without him.
No, I don't think you do. I don't, because if Jackson gets hurt and you had Elam as a healthy scratch, who else is in the bullpen? Who else you got there?
Yeah,
you got to put Cam Lewis on the corner. You're not going to kick Teron back out there. That doesn't make any sense. He's a slot corner.
Right.
Not to say that he couldn't play it, but what I'm saying is you're not going to effectively alter your entire defense as far as that goes.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, for a potential matchup with the Bengals, if it were to come to that, we know that even though Trey had a pretty good day today, he's more physical on the bigger wideouts. So you'd put him on T. Higgins, you put Kamir Elam on Jamar Chase, and just pray that Teron Johnson can match up with Tyler Boyd. And you punch them in the mouth every time they come off the line, because that is a rhythm time in offense. We know it's a rhythm time in offense. How do we know? It's from Sean McVay's. Zach Taylor's from Sean McVay's tree. It's rhythm and timing. You don't have that, you can disrupt it. And they didn't do that in the first matchup.
No,
for those couple drives. So, all right. So we pull for the Ravens tonight. No, I want to play the Bengals. I don't care.
That's a competitor in you, man. The Ravens do not have a quarterback. So
consider yourself the best when you haven't beaten the best, stuff like that.
You and your 1980s WWF heritage. Oh my God.
You kidding me?
Be the best. You gotta beat the best.
Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, we've come to that time. You guys can find all of our socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook in our link tree, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Tonight's show is sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes in association with DeanBlundell.com. 2022-2023 sponsor is Williams Syndrome Foundation. All the super chats tonight. Thank you guys for donating. We'll be going to the Williams Syndrome Foundation. But it is that time when we win, we roast. When the Bills win, we roast. You guys are watching Hashtag Sports, which is always ahead of the curve and under the radar. Time to roast me and Paul whenever you guys want for this wonderful Sunday evening. By the way, the Giants are winning 24-14, Paul. That's fun.
Isaiah Hodges, man, is
5 for 73. I love it.
Good at football.
52 years later, beat anybody 3 times more. Wouldn't you rather play the Jags, Ravens, and then the Giants? Oh my God, that would be insane. That'd be insane. All right.
Again, Buffalo, you got a home playoff game again, right? Like you're getting whoever has got to come to town. I'd rather watch Mario play quarterback than witness Shakira McKenzie trying to catch one more pass.
It is a sight.
Trust me, his receivers drop it. There's video proof.
Paul Paul says I throw a heavy ball, but you got to realize something, guys. It's coming out with some velocity. So It has some velocity.
It
doesn't have any
it's like
velocity.
catching a medicine ball.
Yeah, it hurts. I'm sure catching Allen's the same way. Well, I had to use by the way, I had to use your explanation the other day with some of these guys when they were talking about. I was talking to a couple of kids about, they got great hands. They got great hands. It's like, if they don't have great hands. Well, I was like, it's the gloves. Stop the ball from spinning. That's what the whole gloves do. They stop it from spinning. It's so easy.
Yep, that's
and
it.
I was like, well, who do you think had the best hands ever in the NFL? I'm like, for me, Steve Largent. Guy didn't wear anything. Guy wore nothing and caught all those passes. Are you kidding me?
So I mean, how can you not say Jerry Rice, man?
No, he's the greatest receiver of all time.
You don't think he had the best hands?
Did you ever see him have to die for a ball ever? He had Young in Montana. I mean, Jesus Christ. Put it on a plate for him.
Didn't he get Matt Hasselbeck too? Like, let's just roll this back real quick.
Having the best hands, being the best receiver are two different things. Chris Carter had amazing hands, but he also used gloves too. So
okay, you see Chris Carter's hands?
Ridiculous.
Never ask Chris Carter for directions. You're only making left turns.
Is that Booker McFarland?
His hands are worse than That's why when you look at somebody like Moss is just what a specimen of a wide receiver. Like, oh my goodness gracious.
But he got great gloves is never in a draft scouting report.
That's funny.
Oh God. Mighty buffoon. He got me. All right, looks like he's Flick from the movie Christmas Story with the hat. Go stick your tongue in a frozen flagpole. Double dog dare you. That's amazing. I don't know. We have to have an episode with that. Obviously, on the horizon, #Nation. You guys know we have when the season's over, we do a little bit of a different schedule. We'll have that schedule for you. We're going to be talking draft analysis, all that good stuff.
So Dilly Dale asks a question, goes, on Spot Track, I restructured Alan Dawkins Milano's contracts and it clears 35 mil. How accurate is that? So, I will say that first off, I love the question. It would be absolutely shocking to me if they don't restructure Josh Allen's contract. I would be shocked, right? Totally shocked. Josh Allen's contract will get restructured. I know he just signed it. It's going to get restructured for 2023. So that is definite. You're going to get cap space from Josh Allen in 2023. But the rest of it, I mean, who knows, man? It's Spot Track is actually not a bad tool. It's a good
I'm not laughing
tool.
at Billy. No. Hey, I just washed and waxed your entire car and vacuumed out the center of it. Is that okay?
I know, right?
He's like, I just saved you $35 million. Is that good?
Yeah, it's
but like, here's the deal.
Yeah,
Paul's going to explain it to you like this. You can only prorate a bonus for 5 years. So if you sign a player for longer than 5 years, you can't prorate the bonus like for 6 years, year 7. With Mahomes' deal, behind the scenes, he'll always restructure it, move base money to bonus, and then prorate it over the length of the contract to try to save the team money. That's how they do it. That's how, well, it's a little bit different restructure with Von Miller because a lot of his is tied up in base in case he happens to retire or has a injury. The Bills aren't on the hook for a lot of money. They're just on the hook for his bonus. But I expect, like Paul said, Allen was signed for what, 6?
Yeah, an extension on. Yeah, so it was a true extension. So they didn't restructure the last year deal, which is why he will restructure. He got no signing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he'll restructure.
So yeah, you could save it and then prorate it out for the length of the contract. Obviously, and a lot of players love doing that because it puts money in their account immediately.
Yep.
Like when you restructure and you do that, it puts money in your account right away. So
right away.
We'll do a show on that. Like, and we'll have like flashcards and a PowerPoint presentation. Paul run it. No, Paul, I could do this all on a whiteboard. I'll do it all on the whiteboard to show you guys.
Nobody can read your handwriting, Mario. You've got
when I write,
teacher, dude. You've got
words,
your handwriting. You've got gym teacher handwriting.
I do not have gym teacher handwriting. They
It's
don't even
bad,
write
everybody.
anything. What does that
It's
mean?
bad.
What does that mean? Am I frozen? No. Okay.
No.
Wait, 35 million. We can go get nuked.
Uh-oh. And just like that, he's gone. Look at that. That's what happens. Do we save any money with Miller being on IR? Interesting question. So when you get a player that goes on IR, because there's some talk about this with DeMar Hamlin, right? Let me bring Mario back in.
What'd you do to me?
It's your McDonald's Wi-Fi, dude. Don't talk to me about that. So there you are. So when a player goes on IR, there's still a salary cap component that includes their salary, right? So do you save money? There's a difference between salary cap spend and cash spend. They're two very, very different things. So the answer is kind of yes, kind of no, right? Do you save cash? You save cash. Do you save cap? Not necessarily. Two different things, but we could do an episode in the offseason to talk about that.
Yeah, because of what the Buffalo Bills have been doing recently with their signings here and there, there's a cap number, and there's a cash spend that you have to hit a threshold of 80% over 4 years or 4 to 5 years,
Right.
something like that. So they've well exceeded that for the 4 to 5 years.
Right.
Because you can't just sit there and lowball the team all the time and then save all this money up and then just pay a bunch of free agents. That's not how that works. That's why they want you to try to spend the money.
Yeah, there's a minimum cash spend that you have to hit every year. There's like a minimum amount of money you have to physically spend. So when a player goes on IR, like we talked about this with Hamlin, when a player goes on IR, they typically end up only getting half their salary at that point. But the NFL, PA, and the Bills worked out to pay Hamlin his full remaining salary. Now, mind you, right, we're talking about remaining salary because players get paid weekly, right? So, something that Buffalo did to.
We only had a week left, right?
Right. Yeah, true.
So he would be only. Well, he got. What did he get paid this year?
I think they're going to pay. I think they pay him play. I think they're going to pay him playoff games too.
Don't you get it if you're on the roster? Don't you get playoffs on the roster?
Right, but he's on IR.
Yes. Okay. True. Yeah, but I think the way that works out is I think there's 18 billing cycles that get paid every Tuesday, and he was making 190K.
Right.
Or something like that. So the game is full.
Correct.
11 something like that. 11,000 a week. It's like we make it hashtag. No,
yeah. Oh yeah, sure. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Mom and pop operation. I barely have time to get coffee. All right, ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us for our post-game presentation for the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. We eagerly await to see who the Buffalo Bills are going to play. Whether or not it's Baltimore, well, it will never be Baltimore. It'll be either Cincinnati or Jacksonville. Because if Baltimore wins, they immediately go to Kansas City. So,
right, correct.
And then Jacksonville will come to Buffalo. A little bit of payback, who knows? Thank you guys for joining us. We are out of here. Enjoy your Buffalo Bills victory Monday. Deuces.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!